Yo, what is up, Giants football scout? We're back at it again. Today we're gonna be looking at the state of the New York Giants offensive line in 2020. In this video I'm just gonna kind of go over the offensive linemen that we have, predicting the depth chart, and how we can improve the offensive line in 2021. So I'm starting off with basically a lock to be starting at left tackle, Andrew Thomas. Um, you could argue maybe he goes to right tackle for a year, but I would say it's best for him to just go ahead and get acclimated to the left tackle spot. Either way, Andrew Thomas is a for sure starter, and I have him starting at the left tackle spot. We also have another lock to be starting next year, and Will Hernandez. He's Will Hernandez is an interesting guy because, as you can see here, rookie season, man, he had a really good, promising year. And then his second year this year, or I guess last year, he really fell off and regressed a lot. But I would say you got to take that with a grain of salt, and I would expect him to be back to himself next year. So he's for sure gonna be the left guard of the future. And so left tackle and left guard are pretty much solidified. Center is where it gets a little bit interesting. Um, you know, I would say the favorite to start is Halapio, who did have a 74.1 PFF grade, which is definitely solid in 2018. But then he regressed horribly, and he was absolutely disgustingly bad in 2019, and was horrible. Some think it was because he had like an injury. I think he said like a right ankle injury, maybe. So if he can return to his 2018 self, I think he could be a solid starter. It's a matter of fact, how he does in training camp. So there's definitely going to be competition in the center room. I mean, I have one, two, three, four, five. I have five guys that could honestly start at center. I have Nick Gates. A lot of fans predict that he could make the move over to center. Shane Lemieux, obviously the fifth round draft pick actually from this year. I think I've heard he's taking center snaps. So both him and Gates are both interesting guys that haven't played center. I don't think, but they both have the flexibility to do it, which would definitely improve the offensive line. And then obviously we have Halapio, who did show promise last year. So if he can return to himself, these young guys, Shane and Gates, might actually struggle to win over that position. Spencer Pulley could also be an option at the center position, but Pulley would not be my favorite to win the position. And I even threw Zeitler into the conversation for center. He could for sure be a good center, and you could keep Shane Lemieux at right guard. But I think at this point in Zeitler's career, just keep him in his natural position. Just keep him a right guard, and that's that. But I think he's a black horse to start at center. But at the end of the day, I think it's really a toss up between Gates, Lemieux, or Halapio. Honestly, wouldn't like Gates at center. I would definitely like him at guard or like right tackle. So at this point, I say he's just going to be a backup right tackle until we find for injuries and stuff. So I would say it's really between Lemieux and Halapio. To be honest, I would rather just have Halapio play center and hope he can return to his 2018 form. I don't think there's any point in rushing Lemieux into it, and there's no point in rushing Lemieux into it, and I don't really like Gates at center for some reason. So I would say Halapio is going to be our center, and maybe Gates fights for it, but at the end of the day, Halapio will take the job. And then right guard is basically a lock for Zeitler. Maybe Shane Lemieux really impresses in summer, and you never know, man. Maybe he could start over Zeitler. Zeitler gets traded or moved to center. But I'd say it's like a 99% chance Zeitler's going to start for sure. And then right tackle is our other toss-up. You have Nate Solder, Cam Fleming, Matt Pert. You have three guys that, and even Nick Gates. You could throw Nick Gates in there too. Those are all guys that could really all be solid right tackles. I think they're all in the same category. Gates was very impressive last year in the limited sample size that we got. He wasn't playing top tier competition though. So I'm gonna be honest. I'm optimistic about Nick Gates, but I'm not sold. I don't want to give him an opportunity unless someone gets injured. To be honest, in my eyes, it's really between Solder, Fleming, and Pert. I think I want Pert to sit for a year. Him and Lemieux, I think it just makes more sense. We're not going to be good this year. Let those two guys put on some muscle and learn from some of the more experienced tackles like Fleming, Solder, and Lemieux. Learn from Zeitler. That definitely makes sense for those two to sit for a year. Easy. So it's really between Fleming and Solder. And realistically, man, Kevin Zeitler, by the way, had a 76.4 grade. Solder actually had a 64.7 this year, which isn't bad. It was technically better than Will Hernandez, but he did allow 11 sacks, so he was pretty awful. But honestly, if you look at his 2018 season, it was bad, but he definitely regressed. There's also a rumor that he might have been playing through injury, but Cam Fleming was not great either. You look at these PFF grades, they're not great. He's allowing a lot of sacks. Let's see, 258 snaps, 2 sacks. He had 1,011. So, I think I would honestly, Solder is definitely our starting right tackle, or should be in my eyes. And Cam Fleming, Cam Fleming will be our backup right tackle. But it just really depends on how they do in summer camp. If Pert or Lemieux just really impresses, they could honestly beat out one of these veterans at center, right guard, or right tackle. That whole right side and center is all up for grabs. And maybe they surprise us, and Pert or Lemieux gets in later in the season due to injury or just poor play. I really think Pert could come in near the end of the year, and if considering Solder could be doing bad, and we can get a nice little sample size, see how good he is. You never know. Zeitler did get injured last year. Maybe he gets injured again. I hope he doesn't, but if he does, it would be a nice look at Shane Lemieux. And so if I had to predict for next year, 2020, the 2020 season, I would say Thomas at left tackle, Hernandez at left guard. I'm gonna say center's probably Halapio with Gates backing up. Right guard you have Zeitler, and right tackle you have Solder with Pert backing up. And then you have Fleming as your swing tackle. He's going to be everywhere. Lemieux's backing up right guard. And, I think we have a solid, I would say, top 15 offensive line next year. I think, Nate Solder at right tackle, considering he does play right tackle, is definitely going to have an easier time and honestly should play better at right tackle. He's going to be placing, different competition. It won't be nearly as stout. So, yeah, man, I think we have a top 15 O-line next year. And, we really need to address this center position unless Gates or somebody really impresses at center this year. And so I highlighted some first and second round guys from next year's. So it's from the 2021 draft class that we could get in the first, second, or third round, which I think is definitely a possibility for first, second, or third round draft. I would prefer second or third next year. It depends on what kind of draft pick we get. And, 2021 is definitely a strong center class with Trey Hill, Creed Humphrey, who I want, and Alec Lindstrom, which is like Chris Lindstrom, I think. It was like brother. So, if we get Creed Humphrey on there, man, we have a maulers. And then Lemieux and Pert can come in, and we have like a full, young, perfect, good O-line. Top 10 O-line if we get Creed Humphrey next year, man. But yeah, man, I think this offensive line is really going to help out Daniel Jones, but I think it's really going to help out Saquon Barkley, because this is leaps and bounds better than it was last year. And I would say Solder, right tackle, is an upgrade over what's his face, Mike Rimmers. Zeitler stays the same. Center is bound to get better. And left guard, hopefully Will Hernandez can have a better year, and hopefully Thomas Wood can be better than Nate Solder. But for sure, this is going to help out the offense a lot. And Dave Gettleman really wanted to address that offensive line and get his hog mollies in the draft. And let's hope it pays off, man. And with that being said,